Hello and welcome back to my vlog. Chapter 14 of Laugh and Live by Douglas Fairbanks. Living Beyond Our Means. Living beyond our means is a big subject that must be treated broadly, for circumstances alter cases. There is a sane way to look at every problem, and the matter of living beyond our means is one of the major problems we have to face. If every man was alike and every avocation in life was on a parity, it would be possible to dispose of this subject in a paragraph. But men are not alike. What one could do successfully might easily baffle another. Therefore, it seems advisable to consider the subject by looking into its depths. To most people, debt is terrifying. To some, it means nothing. And thus, we have individual temperament as an angle from which to consider. Living beyond our ability to pay means going into debt via the shortest route. Getting out of debt means a revision of our code to the extent of ceasing to live beyond our means and saving something with which to pay off what we owe. Some men can do this successfully. Others fail while seemingly trying their best to succeed. And still others do nothing to stem the tide. With these, it is a matter of how the tide serves. If favoring winds should drive them to opulence, they would more than likely pay up, particularly those imbued with sufficient personal honor to make good. Such are the exigencies of life. We may as well concede that a vast majority at some time or other find it necessary to owe more than they can readily pay. Emergencies arise which force us into expenses that require credit. And if we have so ordered our lives that when the pinch comes we have no credit established, the fact that we pay out our last dollar and go hungry to bed does not bring us much sympathy. Thus it would seem that to be able to say, I pay as I go, or I owe no man a dollar, or I never live beyond my means, is not much of a boast when, after a death in the family or other unforeseen circumstances, we find ourselves broke and nowhere to turn for the accommodation. It has been aptly said that people can save themselves to death. In other words, one may develop the saving habit to such an extent that Laugh and Live can find no room beside us on the perch of our existence. We must admit that the systematic saver of pennies misses a lot as he goes along and, with time, degenerates into a sort of killjoy. In the matter of regulating his family to his way of thinking, he usually has an uphill job. Sons leave home as soon as they can. Daughters marry and breathe a sigh of relief, leaving mother behind to slave on in order that the hoard may grow. While all of this is true, it only represents extreme cases. Therefore, it should not be construed that this chapter is launched against the habit of saving. Rather, its purpose is to suggest the thought of not over-saving at the expense of personal welfare. Our best plan would be to save in reason, not forgetting that life is here to enjoy as we go along. Then, too, we must have a credit rating among our fellow mortals, just the same as a business person must have credit rating among financial institutions. Credit in business is worth more than money because it allows for expansion, whereas money in the bank is only good as far as it goes. Many a merchant who bought and sold for cash all his life found when he came to enlarge his business that one thing was lacking: credit. The fact that he had always paid cash threw a doubt upon his financial condition when he proposed to borrow. He had neglected to build up a credit as he went along. The business world only knew him as a man who paid cash and exacted cash. Taken at his fullest inventory, he had scalped a living out of the world for which he had done but little to make it happier or better. One calamity might easily scuttle his prospects forever. For instance, a fire or a bank failure, and without credit it would be difficult to start over again. By all means, we must have something for the rainy day as we go along, and our savings can be made up of other things than actual cash in bank. One item of our savings is the habit of keeping up our appearances. Living beyond our means does not incorporate the thought that, in order to save every possible cent, we should become slipshod and shabby. Carelessness in dress takes away from our rating as nothing else will, for it has to do with first impressions of those with whom we come in contact. Gentility pays dividends of the highest order, being, as it is, a badge of character. Neatness bespeaks character, and it is just as cheap in dollars and cents to keep ourselves respectably clothed as to indulge in shoddy apparel under the delusion that we have saved money on the purchase price. Good clothing, costing more at the start, lasts long and looks well as long as it lasts. Shoddy apparel never is anything else but shoddy, and well might it proclaim the shoddy man. When we throw away our opportunity to present a genteel appearance just for the sake of the bankroll, we doom ourselves to defeat in the pursuit of knowledge. We cannot get all we want to know by the mere reading of books. We must mingle with people. We must interchange thought that we may crystallize what we know into practical knowledge, so it can be made into tools to work with. While a man of brains is welcome everywhere, the matter of his appearance has a lot to do with how he is received and with whom he may fraternize. Isn't it a pity, we hear people say, that with all his brains, he hasn't sense enough to make himself presentable? But the worst phase of the situation is that the unkempt man sooner or later loses faith in himself and either ceases to hoard at the expense of his gentility, or he gives up his opportunity to mingle with others and lapses into habits consistent with miserly thoughts. The phrase, a happy medium, is well known and decidedly applicable to the subject of saving as we go along, so that we may avert the sorrows which follow in the wake of living beyond our means. It suggests a desirable middle course which permits us to adopt a sane policy rather than flying to an extreme. It cannot be said that we are living beyond our means when, by reason of our association with men of affairs, we need to spend more money and thereby save less in preparing ourselves for the larger opportunities which will naturally follow. Young men often go through college on their uppers, so to speak. There is not a cent which they could honestly save as they went along without cheating themselves. The point is that their situations in life force them to spend rather than to save money. But in so doing, the real saving was in the spending thereof. They enlarged their knowledge and decreased their bank accounts for the time being. What a man parts with in an emergency is no license, however, for him to fall back into profligacy. Never should a man entirely lose the idea of putting something by. The college boy in this case has simply invested his money in an education instead of a bank account. Once on the high road of life with a plan of action well-defined and a regular income, the habit of putting money away should become a fixed procedure. In no other way do we accumulate except by investment, and investment means putting away money at interest or in some project which promises better returns. If we were to interview 1,000 men on the subject of saving and draw upon their experiences, we would find that by investing money at interest, we pursue the safest course, far safer, in fact, than the seeking of outside investments that promise greater returns. The latter invites the mind away from the regular avocation and educates it in time to take chances that are likely to turn into setbacks. The mind, instead of applying itself to the duty of making the most out of its regular employment, allows its interest to become scattered over too broad a field. It is not within the province of all men to become wealthy, and after all, wealth is not the only desideratum. The happiest of mortals are found in the middle walks of life and not in the extremes. The struggle should be to escape the life which saps our strength, keeps our nerves on edge, and drives us away from the green pastures. Make it a great day, and bye for now.